1, 2. Okay, 2. So that's in mix 1, 2. I'm getting it. 2, 2. So I'm sending to remix. Mix 1, 2, 2. 2.
One, two. 1, 2. 1, 2. Cool.
Say again something?
1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay, perfect.
Cool. Is this the?
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with your intro slide.
Okay.
Then you're going to go to your first page of your presentation, which
Okay.
is this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks, buddy.
Let me just check if it works before you leave here. Perfect.
All right.
So he's obviously going to introduce you and
Yeah.
then take it on in.
Thank you. No worries. Can we move this out of the way?
Yeah, sure. You don't
Thank
need
you.
it at all.
Yeah, no. Thanks.
I'll just give it 2 minutes and then
All right. Cool.
hand over to you. Testing 1, 2. 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 Switch on. Yeah. Testing 1, 2. KK Diaz or Diaz.
The first one is fine.
Diaz.
Yeah.
Testing 1, 2. Welcome everyone. Good afternoon. In the room, we're about to go live in 30 seconds.
Okay. The Red Bull is kicking in now. Bro, you must take at least one picture with this nice little thing behind me. Okay. And with this
This is great.
nice gentleman here.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And we're about to go live as soon as I get the thumbs up from AV. All good. Welcome everyone online and welcome in the room. Now we all know that there are many reasons startups and businesses fail. The product wasn't right, the timing wasn't correct. They didn't get the funding they needed. But really at the end of the day, they ran out of money. And what's the best way of having money and income rather than generating sales? And in a post-COVID world, almost everything is being sold online. And I'm sure that more and more will be sold digitally. So how do we generate more sales, convert more leads, and really save our businesses by leveraging digital marketing and sales strategies? Today we have an expert on the topic, KK Diaz, who will be sharing more about this topic and why it's very important for each of us to take note. So without further ado, want to remind you that we will be taking questions at the end in the chat if you're online. And if you are here, we will be roaming the mic. And now over to you, KK Diaz. If you can please help me in bring him on stage with a lovely round of applause.
Thanks, Buntu. Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to be here and to be speaking to you guys about this this topic that I'm very passionate about. I wanted to tell you a story. Unfortunately, I forgot the guy's name. But he was known to be one of the greatest bank robbers back in the 40s or 50s in the US. I'll remember his name and I'll give it to you. And he was asked, why does he rob banks? And he said, duh, it's because that's where the money is. And so with that said, a lot of marketers or business owners tend to market not where the customers are. So not only are we going to speak about where the customers are, but actually how to get them to come to you and your business, and therefore to create the kind of, as Ubuntu said, the kind of process that allows you to automate getting the customers, converting them, and more importantly, getting those customers to keep coming back to you, okay? So this is beyond digital marketing. It combines digital marketing, it combines sales, delivery, and customer experience. Are you guys excited? Yes. All right, fantastic. Excuse me? That's the name, thank you. Thank you, appreciate it. All right, with that said, a little bit about myself. I'm a business strategist. I've been in business, I'm 43 now. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 9 years old, so there's so much stories that I could tell you for days, so much so that I've written 6 books about all of those, call them stories and experiences that I've had working with well over 1,000 small to medium businesses across various industries. I'll give you a snapshot of what those businesses look like, both small, medium, and large, various industries and so forth. And with that said, one of the things that I want to tell you that for being here, I'm going to give you 2 free copies of my book. So that is the link that you can go to, agamebusiness.com/IS for Innovation Summit. So when you go to that link, you'll be able to complete the form. You'll get the 2 books and one little bonus, which you'll see once you've done so. What the business does is we do business strategy, we do digital marketing, we do people development, because in almost all cases, when a business needs to do something new, in almost all cases, it requires new skills, which is something I think a lot of entrepreneurs tend to not appreciate much. And with that said, when new things need to be done, you need new processes and then the technology to support those processes. As I mentioned, we've got a long list of clients. Some are massive, some are multi-billion-dollar annual turnover companies. We'll typically help them in certain aspects of those businesses. So I'm very fortunate to have had the experience of working with all of these businesses. So it's going to be a silly question to ask how many of you want customers, right? So I'm not going to ask you. I'm sure it's a fair, reasonable assumption to say everybody in the room wants more customers. I have to tell you that this presentation I've been doing for well over 5 years. And so things have been changing. Things didn't just change because of COVID. Okay? The methodology and the processes that I'm going to share with you today have been around for at least over a decade. And so it's really about implementing them in such a way that now you can optimize them and really understand them. That's what I'm going to actually help you with, is context of how this digital marketing thing is supposed to work. And people have given me good feedback about the process, so I'm sure you'll enjoy it. With that said, some interesting stats. I'm going to share some interesting numbers for context for you. 94% of customers, okay, that's a big number. They discontinue communicating or receiving communication from businesses that don't send them relevant information, okay? If customers feel that what you are saying does not make sense to them or is irrelevant, they disconnect. And in almost all cases, they never come back. So it's very important that in your messaging, your marketing, that we speak to what is important to our customers. Also, especially now, 74% of customers have stopped buying from specific companies because the buying process was difficult for them. Okay, very important. So you need to optimize the buying process, which then helps you to leverage your marketing. Because you do all the hard work, you bring customers in, but then if you make it difficult for them to buy from you, then you lose those customers, and you typically lose them for life. And 51% of companies say, 51% of customers say if they have one negative experience with your company, they will stop connecting, they will stop buying from you, and they'll buy from your competitors. And let's be honest, folks, very few things are new today, in the sense that the way that you are doing business is almost likely very similar to your competitors. Okay, so let's not think we are overly special where what we are doing cannot be purchased somewhere else. A lot of what we do is really commoditized, and so it's very important that we create a massively remarkable customer experience, which is also something I'm going to share with you today. On the good side, though, 93% of customers say they'll continue buying from the same business if that business continues to provide a great or remarkable customer experience. This is what the new buying journey looks like, and very few companies have actually adapted. Okay, you remember the sales funnel? Okay, where people come in at the top because they are interested, and then they do a little bit of more discovery of what you offer, et cetera, et cetera. It's not that simple anymore, okay? It's gotten very complicated. And part of what I'm going to share with you is how to adapt your company's marketing, sales, and customer experience process in order to optimize and be able to obviously adapt to that new buying journey. Okay, those are a little faint, it looks like, but I'll speak you through it. What I'm going to share with you today are the overall strategy of marketing, and then digital marketing, and then the pieces that connect to that. So this slide is just for context, and again, if you download the books, you'll see you'll be able to access a lot more of this content. So your marketing strategy, your digital marketing rather, requires or is reliant on a very solid foundation that you built on. So things like your value proposition. People forget to clarify your value proposition, right? And then they just shoot and go to marketing. That's almost like shooting before you aim, all right? You have to clarify your value proposition, and most entrepreneurs struggle with that. You obviously need to have your customer segments. You have to be very clear on who your personas are, as well as what kind of customer relationship building from a narrative do you want to build, okay? Don't go straight to the tactics of putting out marketing without actually having clarified these things. So the hexagon, consider the hexagon being your entire strategy, okay? Made up of these pieces. After that, there are tactics that you need to utilize in order to maximize your digital marketing. You need your brand, corporate identity. It doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be amazing, but you need something that people can identify with, right? You obviously need a home for your digital brand. That's typically your website, but you also have landing pages. You know, there's a whole host of exciting things that you can create as a digital home for your business, okay? As I'm sure you all know that you don't necessarily need a brick and mortar business in order to do business. Social media is one of those tactics, which I know a lot of you know about, but I'm going to share with you how you can leverage social media. Content marketing is very important. Nowadays, again, it's one of the ways that you differentiate yourself from your competitors. It's about what conversations are you having with your customer. Search engine optimization, and obviously AdWords. How do you take these pieces together? All of these will create your ecosystem. However, at the center is what we call, in the olden days, we used to call it customer relationship management. It's now also known as marketing automation. So I'm going to be using those terms interchangeably to speak to how do you use all of these things in order to make sure that when customers come to you, you manage those contacts successfully, because not every customer, when they come in, they'll be ready to buy, okay? You need to manage that relationship until they buy and post the purchase so that they can keep coming back to you. I'm just rushing through these slides so that we can get to the core kind of message that I want to share with you today. Folks, what's important, and it doesn't matter whether you outsource your marketing, one of the things you want to do as an entrepreneur, as a marketer is you need to learn these skills, which is you need to learn how to productize and package your products better and be able to differentiate them. Okay? These are skills that whether you outsource or do your own marketing, you need these skills. You need to be able to do copywriting. Copywriting is one of the most important, one of the most critical skills in today's age of doing business. You need to know how to do storytelling and obviously selling. Sales is one of the most difficult things to do for entrepreneurs. And it's got specific skills, it's specific challenges that entrepreneurs need to overcome. It's one thing to market. You can market all you like, okay? But if you can't sell and convert those clients, those leads into customers, then your marketing is a waste. Your biggest challenge is what's called obscurity. Obscurity is not being known, okay? And not being clearly visible. That's your biggest challenge that you obviously need to overcome. And I'm going to share those tricks and strategies with you. You know, after not being known, one of your other challenges is how do you get people to trust you? Like Zig Ziglar said, if people do not trust you, they will not do business with you. You know, if they like you, that's one thing. They'll listen to you. But whether they'll do business with you is based on the trust relationship. And that's why the R is important in CRM, which is around relationship, and how do we actually effectively leverage those relationships. And I'm going to share that with you. How do you get people to trust you? You walk over a bridge called the know, like, trust factor. People need to know, obviously, who you are. They need to consider whether they like you or not. And then after that, are you an expert? And can you help them, i.e., have you helped others in the past? Mike is smiling at the back because he knows what I'm talking about. Folks, that's very important. The know, like, trust factor is the key to your success. Again, I'm going to share content and tactics that you can utilize in order to do that. Who's heard of inbound marketing? Okay. So inbound marketing, at least in our HubSpot, has kind of just developed the concept and shared it. I know it was always around, but they kind of took it to the next level, right? I'm going to share with you 8 steps instead of their 3 steps, but just remember that it's inbound marketing at the end of the day, okay? And what you need to do in order to build that trust is to provide value. Value, it's not necessarily about transactional value, at least not financial transactional value. You know, a lot of what happens nowadays and what the customers expect is what value can they get from you before they actually buy, okay? And what you need to understand is a lot of competitors today, your competitors, are already doing that. And if you're not doing that, you're already not creating the relationship from the right foundation, if that makes sense, okay? So think about things that you can give away for free, that helps people to understand what it is that you do and how you can help them in order to build that trust. And even after once they've purchased, how do you continue to provide them with that educational content that will help them leverage the products and the services that they purchase from you. And this is what we've built, which is the 8-step digital marketing method. And at the end of the day, it's really about it helping you to get people to know, like, trust you before they do business with you, right? I'm sorry that it's looking a little faint. I'm not sure if there's something we need to do on the projector or something. So we spoke about your digital home. Before people buy from you, they will do their own research. Imagine this, up to 65 to 90% of the buying journey before they actually get to your, before they buy from you, before they contact your business. So, and this is why you need to start developing content that when customers are searching, that they find these nuggets, this value that you can give away for free, so that, you know, they know and like you, okay? And ultimately trust you before they do business with you. So it's really about ensuring that we overcome this. When customers are searching, prior to them becoming customers with us, what can we give them? How do we establish those relationships? South Africans, we typically think, you know, there's a whole host of fancy things happening overseas, and it doesn't apply here. Hopefully, I'm going to change your mind today. There are 38 million active internet users in South Africa, okay? How many of these do you think are on smartphones? Okay. So what does this mean for you in terms of how you position your business from a place of, am I ready for my customers to find me when they search? And would they buy from me? Remember, we spoke about ensuring that the buying process is an easy and seamless one. Look at this. Year-on-year changes from a growth perspective. In 2019, people would search and make purchases 17% of the time. Look at how quickly those numbers have kind of nearly flipped around, okay? I mean, they nearly doubled, right? At least in terms of purchases online. This is in South Africa. In 1 year, okay, the trend is kind of flipped over where people are actually buying using smartphones. And the percentage of those purchases that start online is in the region of 80 to 90%. So how do you implement this 8-step digital marketing methodology? It starts with attracting, enticing people, and again, giving them those nuggets, those freebies that you can give. A lead magnet is really something that's considered to be high value to the customer. It costs you nothing, all right? It costs you nothing to give away. It costs you nothing to, in some cases, and it's usually based around content. And then content could be ebooks, it could be free coaching, it could be trials, it could be webinars and so forth. I mean, you guys have seen how much it's ballooned over the last 12 months in terms of just nearly every company now hosting webinars, right? On top of just the Zoom fatigue, now we also have all of these webinars to deal with. But it's very important. It's become the standard. It always has been. It's just now it's been accelerated quite significantly. So it's really about creating landing pages that will help you deliver these magnets. For example, who actually fell for, in the room, who fell for Netflix's 1 to 3 months freebie before they signed up, right? And can you see how once you've received these freebies, we typically are then easier to convert over time. This is one of our clients. We help them create a little ebook on how to power dress, right? So helping women to understand how they can use fashion in order to exude power and confidence in the way they dress. So even fashion, you don't have to give away jackets. You don't have to give away clothing. You can give away other things of value that the people that are actually looking to buy from you can use that information and know, like, and trust you before they actually buy from you, okay? So it's really about doing those kind of things. One of my favorite lead magnets is also from Vespa. I mean, they'll teach you how to ride a bike and give you breakfast. And then who wouldn't like a company like that and actually end up buying from them, right? So, and obviously they can afford it. They are Vespa at the end of the day. You don't necessarily need to have expensive lead magnets, but you need to have nuggets of value that you can provide to customers before they buy from you. Number 2, it's a very obvious step, but we've put it in so that you have the context and you remember, because a lot of us, especially, and I've seen it a lot in retail, where customers come in, they ask questions about a product, and then what happens? They let those people go, okay? Obviously, if people have shown some interest, and they may not necessarily be ready to buy at that moment, it is up to you, okay? It is up to you to capture the contact details of that lead. Again, you can do it either by giving them something for free or by simply asking if you could take their details and you send them information later on about whatever the case that may be. And folks, this is one of those steps that people feel they shouldn't, because it's part of selling and people are afraid to ask for contact details. But trust me, if a customer shows interest in your business, they are likely going to your competitor, okay? And it's really the competitor that is going to create that relationship that you're not creating. It's going to end up winning that lead. Remember, 65 to 95%, the customer is actually looking to find information before they purchase. If you do not capture them at that point, you've probably lost them forever. So how do you capture? How do you sign up these leads? You use online landing pages, web forms. In retail, you can write things down on a piece of paper. Ask somebody, can I have your email address so I can send you this, or a voucher or discount voucher, whatever the case may be. So it does not necessarily need to live online in order for you to execute. You can do that manually as well. Number 3, you need to nurture. So I'm going to give you quite a bit on this particular step. So once you've captured these leads, you need to nurture them. I don't know who attended the session just before now, just before lunch, and it was really about providing value and not just chasing transactions and chasing money. But you really need to be an empathetic business, an authentic business that is in business to provide value to people. And value is not necessarily just in the products. It's also in nurturing relationships and ensuring what's called customer success, which is ensuring that your customer will become successful in the solving of the problem that you are helping them. And guess what? It doesn't start when they use your product. They'll have questions in the beginning. That's also customer success. You need to ensure that customers, when they're looking for questions, or rather when they have questions to ask you, that you help them become successful in answering those questions. And that typically happens right early in the beginning of the process. And of course, if you have complex products and services, it's something you'll need to do through and through. All right, so how do you nurture? You nurture by continuously providing value, answering questions, cultivating those relationships over time, so that when they are ready to buy, you are top of mind. Sometimes one of the things that I hear entrepreneurs say a lot about marketing is, I don't want to bug people. I don't want to send people too many emails. But guess what? Every time a customer sees an email from you, even if they don't read it, they remember you. Okay? So in nurturing those relationships, sending email and doing email marketing is very important. And we can actually see through in this presentation how you can do that. So here's what happens, the reality, unfortunately. 81% of sales convert after you've contacted a customer 7 times, at least 7 times. Indy, how are you? 81%, folks. 81% of your sales only happen after you've contacted the client 7 times. You know what the reality is? 48% of customers, or companies rather, quit after they've spoken to a customer once. Again, a customer will come to you, ask for information, and you hope that they'll come back to you. They're not going to come back, because it is your responsibility to actually nurture the relationship and continuously following up. Okay? So most of the sales will typically happen at the end, and it's important that if you are genuine about the success of your customers, that you continuously nurture those relationships. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes it takes years for us to convert clients. And it's interesting how we will nurture them because they came in through a particular stream or through a particular product or interested in a particular product, but later on they end up buying something else. And it's primarily because we've nurtured that relationship over time. And it's really not about focusing, or rather how you want to achieve that is by not focusing on the financial transaction around the relationship. It's about focusing on the success of the customer. All right, so this obviously results in us wasting leads. Now, why do we need to follow up so much? It's because people are busy. I always tell the story of how even when I needed insurance, like I really needed insurance, I reached out to some companies for quotes and so on. And then I ended up selecting one, meaning I was very happy with it. But it took me another 3 weeks to decide. Rather to give them my banking details, because they'd call me at a time when I didn't have those banking details with me. I was driving, whatever the case may be. All I'm saying is following up is very important, even once you've closed the deal, okay? Because people are so busy. Your customers are busy. You have to remind them. Talking about being busy, when the customer is ready to purchase, if you do not respond in time, okay? If you do not respond within 5 minutes, the customer's interest drops by 10 times. All right? So in nurturing those relationships, it's also about being there when they are ready to purchase, going back to that buying process that we spoke about earlier. So this is extremely important if you want to, again, close those deals, especially when customers are ready. And the readiness does not only apply when they are ready to buy, but when they want to speak to you. So when they need information, they land on your website and things don't happen as they should, or they phone you and they don't get their calls answered, they lose interest. Their interest drops by 10 times. So it's very important that we nurture those relationships and have optimized response time. I'm going to skip the slide, it's not necessary. If we don't nurture, folks, we end up losing a lot of clients in that, obviously, that traditional pipeline or funnel that I spoke about. It's very important to nurture. Because you'll get a lot of people who are interested in what you do, but if you are unable to nurture the relationship effectively over time, you will lose them. So how do you solve the idea of follow-up so that you don't do it manually? Again, you create valuable content and you automate it. You automate it using CRM systems, which I'll share with you in a bit. So what are the typical things or emails that you can actually create in order to nurture that relationship? You've probably seen this, and some of you, I know, are annoyed when companies send you unnecessary emails, okay? Simply use that situation as a reflection to say, how are you nurturing relationships? How are your customers feeling when they receive emails from you? Are they even receiving emails from you? If they are not, trust me, you're not going to be top of mind when they're ready to purchase, okay? But typically, what you do is, again, you will create that lead magnet we spoke about and create autoresponders. You know, typically what happens is you'll receive a welcome email, you'll receive a tip or two, and then you start offering things that are sometimes called tripwires. Does anybody know what a tripwire is? Anyone? So a tripwire is literally something that creates what's called a micro-commitment, right? If you have, especially if you have expensive purchases, or it actually doesn't matter whether it's expensive or not, but a tripwire is something that's much cheaper than what you are selling, ultimately wanting to sell to the customer in order to get what's called micro-commitments, okay? It's like when a gentleman wants to date someone, you will not ask the lady to marry you on the first date, right? Or rather, the first time you meet them, okay? It's really about those micro-commitments. It's about obviously saying hi, introducing yourself, maybe asking for coffee, you know, maybe later on dinner, et cetera, et cetera. You get the drift, right? So tripwires are really those little things that you do in the beginning to not ask someone to scare them off by asking them to commit too much early on in the beginning. Again, these are ways that you can use to nurture those relationships. CRM systems also help you to to do what's called lead scoring. Lead scoring is, remember when you send out emails and you do your interactions with the customer, going back to that 7 touch points that we spoke about earlier, these systems can help you to understand which customers are interacting more with your content and therefore which ones you need to focus on. Okay, and thereby helping you save a lot of time. Literally, it'll give you a score, but you obviously need to tell the system how to score those leads, i.e., if somebody opens 5 of my emails, then it means we need to phone them, right? And the systems will do those things automatically for you, i.e., if a customer has contacted you or clicked on emails and went to your website, it'll say, hey, it'll pop and notify to say, hey, do you know this person has actually been doing this and that, and then it's time that you maybe contact them in one way or another. All right, you know, when I do this content, normally it's really an engaging session in terms of we get to ask questions and answer. Unfortunately, because of time, I'm just going to rush through the content, and if we have time at the end, you'll ask some questions. But anyway, automation helps you not only to save a lot of time from an automation perspective, because let's be honest, more and more business people are needing to do more and more in terms of what they're capable of, in terms of what they have time for. Automation will help you to do more of that at a much more cost-effective manner. Again, what we want is to get to that trust aspect, okay? And it's really about getting people to know you first. They need to like you. There has to be a reason why. They can't just like you because you're good looking or whatever the case may be, unless obviously if you're an influencer, you know. But at the end of the day, we do need to give people value so that they can, again, feel like they can do business with us. There are a lot of systems out there. We are certified by some of them, but you can go online. You'll get all of these concepts that I'm referring. Some of these companies actually do wonderful work in educating people on how to implement these. Step number 4, propose, which is a very difficult thing for a lot of entrepreneurs to do. Entrepreneurs struggle with selling, but the beauty of digital marketing automation is you don't have to verbally say it yourself. You can put it in emails, you can put it in processes, but you have to put it in. And you have to put it in such a way that it goes back to that brand narrative we spoke about. It goes back to the value proposition, and it continues to really nurture those relationships. But it has to be done, okay? I don't remember ever hearing a lady asking a gentleman to marry her first without him having to do the proposing, to doing all the hard work. And that relationship with, the typical relationship between a man and a woman is what we can kind of, I guess, juxtapose against a business. We need to attract our leads. We need to nurture them. We need to propose, i.e. ask for that marriage. And ultimately, when they do agree, we close the knot in the same way that, we'll get married and obviously have a long-term relationship. But it works exactly the same, okay, in business. And we need to find ways of how, not only to do that, but how to optimize doing that using all of these tactics. I spoke about the tripwire. These are some of the things that you do as you propose because you want those micro commitments. You don't want to overdo it in the beginning, okay? So think about what are your tripwires, what are your limited time offers that you can provide. And again, these systems help you to automate that, i.e., buy this within 7 days or within 7 hours or the offer expires. You don't have to do these things manually. The systems can do all of those things for you. Okay, this I've kind of covered. So is this. Probably more difficult than proposing is closing, which is called asking for the money. You cannot close a sale if you don't ask for the money. And one of the reasons, or two reasons why it's so difficult for most entrepreneurs, it has to do with confidence in their products and services. It's how confident are you in your ability to deliver that customer success that we spoke about. And also, more importantly, is how confident are you in your ability to deliver that customer success? Because entrepreneurs rather, who are confident in their ability to solve the customer's problems have no problem selling. Because they are in business to provide that value continuously. And that's what they do, provide value in order to help their customers to succeed. All of these things you can automate, obviously. I mean, there's a gentleman at the back who also does a lot of helping customers to collect money. So it's something that needs to be automated as well. And collecting the money is really about ensuring that you have the money prior to delivering. And it's very important that you also gain that confidence in order to ask for the money up front, okay? It goes back to customer success. It goes back to how you've been nurturing that relationship in the beginning. All the things that you are doing in order to give you, to justify you asking for the money when it's necessary. It obviously helps with cash flow, which is something a lot of businesses fail from, at least the lack of. It's important to deliver and create a wow experience. This is one of our very important steps. I want to share a little story with you. Who's been to Mount Sheba? Has anybody been to Mount Sheba? Okay, if you haven't, you really need to check it out. It's pretty awesome in Mpumalanga. So it's a beautiful spot out in the mountains, but when you drive up there, it's a mountainous area. So you can imagine how you'll feel when you get up there and what your car looks like and whatnot. So we did the typical thing. We checked in. The following day in the morning when we got up, the car was washed. It was such a little thing, a warming experience. I went to Mount Sheba at least the first time nearly 7 years ago. Do you know how many people I've told the story to? The thing about creating a wowing experience is that it becomes a remarkable experience, meaning people remark about it. How is your delivery? Is your delivery remarkable? And if it's remarkable, are you able to repeat it? Folks, do not lie to yourself. If you do not automate the delivery of an exceptional customer experience, if you do not automate it, you will not be able to repeat it. Okay, which is why customers come back, because your delivery is consistent. Sorry, can I just do a time check? How much time do we have?
No, we still got 25.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. And just on that point, thanks, Muntu. How much do you think it cost them to wash my car? It's a bucket of water. Obviously, a little bit of soap. Okay, but do you know how much they've leveraged just off of that little experience? So what are you creating? What are you doing to create those remarkable experiences? And again, it has to be automated. You can do all the marketing you love. If you don't do all of these things, customers are not going to come back. then likelihood is you're not even going to convert them into paying customers, and then they're likely not to return. Also important is once you've delivered, you have to check if your customers are happy or not, folks. Don't assume that they are. You know how some people are, they don't tell you, right? They're going to go to social media. They're going to go all of these places, and bad news travel faster, I'm sure that you know, right? So you want to avoid people being unhappy. Maybe they can be unhappy, but you have to fix it. And you can only fix it if you know. And you find out by actually surveying the customer, doing something which is called happiness. We just call it a happiness survey. All it is, we want to ensure that our customer is happy. And if they're not happy, you obviously need to fix that, right? So it's very important before you do the rest of it, which is upselling, cross-selling, and whatnot. You have to fix those problems because you want to create a remarkable experience so that they don't come back. Remember, 51% of customers do not come back after one negative experience. You want to make sure that your customers stay with you. Once they are happy, you want to obviously create testimonials so that you know that that wheel that continues to kind of just spin itself, i.e. once you've converted a customer and they're happy, they're likely to tell one or two other people, all right? And those testimonials will really help you with that. And then it becomes a lot easier not only to upsell your customers, but to also get referrals from them. You will not become successful from your marketing if you do not implement all of these tactics. And these frameworks have been around for over a decade. So, you know, I'm going to say unconsciously because we haven't really been conscious of it, but we've all gotten used to it. And the thing is, your customers have gotten used to it. And if you do not implement those processes and systems, they will buy from the companies that have these processes and systems. Folks, in a nutshell, that's really the 8 steps to marketing. How do you find a way to attract customers in a way that they want to come to you without them feeling like, no, they must only speak to you if they need to buy? Give them those tripwires, give them those lead magnets, sign them up. As obvious as it is, most companies don't. If a customer shows interest, find a way of capturing their contact details so that you can use them later. Not only for your selfish interests, but to continuously providing that customer success and adding value and nurturing those relationships. You want to nurture those relationships, systematize proposing and closing those sales, and obviously collecting your money and delivering that wow and remarkable experience. Once you've done that, even though you have confidence that what you've done is a good job, you have to check in with your customer if they are happy or not, and then do the rest of it, right? Upsell, get testimonials. Testimonials sell like crazy, okay, in terms of how they help you. Because it's really about somebody else talking about how awesome you are, which always sells better than you always talking about how awesome you are. And then it also obviously helps you to create that wheel that keeps just spinning itself, and then it brings in more and more customers. So, folks, with that said, these are my contact details. Feel free to contact me. Feel free to go to our website, download those 2 ebooks. These 2 ebooks will share not only the information that I've shared with you, but context around other things that needs to happen in order to optimize your digital marketing. And soon, it will not be digital marketing. It will be just marketing. And this is exactly what it will be. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much, KK. That was incredibly insightful.
Thank you.
In fact, I think that we had some people wanting to contact you. I see you there, Roxanne. You are asking who the person is. And if you do want to contact KK, of course, the contact details are up. But if you're here at the event, you can also search for him in the Match and Invest tab. Now we can open for questions. We do have a good 10 minutes, and awesome. I see there's already questions coming up. So please, if you are online, post your questions in the chat, and we'll make sure to get to them. We'll start here in the room. If you can please stand, introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself, and question.
Hi, KK. My
Hello.
name is Susanna Hegerova, and I'm the founder of Heger Mental Health. We're a platform that brings together the clients and therapists. And I recognize a lot of what you've presented
Sure.
here, and well done. It's all
Appreciate it.
very,
Thank
very
you.
valuable for anyone.
Yeah.
And we've gone through like a whole lot of this journey.
Mm.
So I'm going to start with quite a steep, I think, loaded question. So excuse me, but we are in a very peculiar business. It's got a lot of confidentiality attached to it, right? So when somebody's seeking therapy, it's it's a confidential process. We've got to be very careful about, like even when people send us a message, we basically have to pretend we didn't see it when they are disclosing
I
a little
see
bit
what you
about
mean, yeah.
themselves. So
Yeah.
the nurturing process, is quite tricky because it's not like selling a product, like where you can see, oh, my customer likes product B and D, but not C and A,
Sure.
and therefore I can nurture them on that. So we don't know what obviously they are discussing with the therapist.
Okay.
That is one challenge that we have. The second challenge is that we sell.
So sorry,
time.
before you continue,
Yeah.
do you do marketing on behalf of therapists?
Yes.
Okay.
So we are just a platform.
Okay.
Okay. We advertise the therapist's time,
Okay.
and then we are not employers of therapists. We
Okay.
are just an agent in a way. So our second challenge is that the therapist is actually quite worried about soliciting feedback and testimonials from clients. We have received testimonials, and there are certain, therapists are actually precluded ethically from soliciting that feedback. So we solicit feedback from clients, but it's obviously quite tricky, and the therapists don't help us.
Yeah.
Because they are scared.
Sure.
This is an uncomfortable process.
Interesting
the whole
problem.
thing. So I'm just wondering if there's anything that you can think of that we could do over and above what you've already presented, in view of just how sensitive this particular market is in the client.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, like you said, it's a big question, and one of the things that I avoid doing, number one, is acting like I know it all, and coming up with what is obviously an important answer, on a whim like that. So I would want to just maybe speak to you outside of this. I'm more than happy for us to discuss, but I'll give you some ideas, and again, you'll help me clarify the problem. So you do marketing on behalf of therapists, and as you highlighted those issues and whatnot. Where do you stop? Do you help them generate leads?
Yes.
And then who closes those leads? Is it the therapist? Or
No, we do. The platform does.
Oh, so the
we bring the client all the way to the therapist.
Okay. Lucky therapists. They just sit and wait.
Okay. Easy for them, but we then want the loud hailer. We want to be able to find, like, what does the loud hailer look like for us? Who can loud hail out there for us to say, oh, I received a fantastic service. If it's that much more tricky for us to nurture that.
I mean, how much educational stuff are you doing, just from a marketing perspective?
We've pretty much done
Okay.
what you've covered there.
Is that for the purpose of getting customers in?
Yes.
Once they're in, what else do you do from a nurturing perspective? Do you continue speaking to the
from
the
then
same?
we leave it to the therapist.
Okay.
Maybe that is where the answer is.
Of course.
I
No,
don't
it
want
is.
to take too much time.
Yeah.
But maybe I can take
And maybe that's how your system pivots, or your business model. I'm not sure the extent at which, again, you deliver value to your therapist, but maybe you start allowing or helping your therapists, who are actually at the end of the day your customer, not necessarily the patients, in order to help them become successful. How do you get them to produce content? I mean, their stuff is content all day long, right? How do you capture the little nuggets of information? How do you get somebody, for example, there's another lady, I don't think she's here, Chris. She does something, no, it's not Chris, sorry, it's somebody else. But basically what they do is they have a tool for physiotherapists, okay? One of the things is once you've done something, you've kind of consulted with the client, they need to give them exercises that they need to do afterwards and so forth, right? And you need to ensure that they've actually done it. That's also a way that not only do you improve customer success, but you also nurture the relationship, okay? You don't want somebody just coming in and you just service them and then they go away. You want to continuously doing that. But I'm more than happy to speak to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the question. I think we had another question here. Thank you.
Hey, KK.
Hey, hey, Simone.
Your thoughts on print media as a loss leader if you aren't able to capture those contact details, writing articles about your, not
Okay.
about your product, but you know, creating knowledge. I mean, for my business, for example, kids products.
Yes.
I mean, we do conscious. I've got a shop called Mighty Small. We do locally made ethical kids products, and so they're plastic free. They're non-toxic. I could talk about it. I could talk about how toxic load is affecting children's health, without directly selling my product. But I come from a magazine background, which is a dying industry, so I'm interested to just know, is it even worth going there? It's something I think about often.
You mean physical print?
Yeah.
Look, not only was that industry dead prior to COVID, but it's shredded to pieces right now. I mean, mega. I don't know if the idea was to go like print from a magazine perspective, or is it just articles?
No, actual magazines.
Look, do the same thing, just digital.
Because there's a whole market of, say, grandparents who are still,
Yeah, but one of the fastest growing customer segments on Facebook and social media are grandparents, right? So again, and one of the things that, I'm sorry, I left out in the stats is that the seniors are using digital technology like you can't believe. I mean, you folks have people in your lives, who are on WhatsApp, they're in social media, right? So it's really about understanding what kind of content they want, but more importantly, the platform, or rather, how they want to consume that content. But it's all digital now, or at least predominantly most of it. And also, as somebody who cares about the health of their customers, physical is a risk now because of contamination and whatnot. So going digital will really work. And you'll deliver this. It's the same magazine. All you're doing is you either putting it on an app or you're giving it away as a PDF, and it'll also work very well from a lead magnet perspective.
Then my thoughts were around the chatbot. What are your thoughts on that in terms of nurturing relationships?
I love them. Okay, because remember we spoke about being there when the customer wants you, right? You need to use them. Even if it's just a basic, hi, what's your name, what do you need, we'll get somebody to call you back. People want to know that you're there, especially in some industries where, if some people don't get attention when they need it, the worst could happen.
Are there some chatbots that you'd recommend over others?
Yes. I'm sorry, no. What I will tell you, I won't necessarily recommend it over one because it's better, but because it's free, okay? HubSpot, as much as it's a lose for me to tell you this, but I'm more than happy, always. We always help our clients whenever they need it. But Simone, if you go to, I'm not sure what CRM you're using. If you don't have one, again, download those books and you'll find all of that information in there. So customer relationship management, marketing automation, HubSpot, okay, will let you, it's a free tool, at least up until you have more than 2,000 contacts. It has chatbots that are free, very easy to program, and you can program very quick little instructions on there.
Thank you so much for the question. There is a slide that Simone wanted to take a look at. Hopefully you have time afterwards.
Yeah, sure. Yes, so MailChimp, one is HubSpot. But MailChimp does the same. I don't think MailChimp has chatbots, though.
Great.
Okay.
Excellent. So we do have time for one more question, a really quick one. If anyone does have a question in the room, by the way, Roshni does say that her 75-year-old mom-in-law wants to learn about online shopping and very active on Facebook.
There you go. There you go. Wonderful. Thanks for the feedback. That's really where the world is.
That's what's happening.
Right?
Exactly.
That's really where the world is.
I think if we don't have any further questions, ladies and gentlemen, please give KK a round of applause. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you, El. And thank you for those online. Once again, please feel free to reach out to KK on Match and Invest. And you can set up a meeting at any time during the conference. And for those of you that are in the room, the next session will be starting in 5 minutes. So feel free to stay tuned and come back again in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.